Hello, and welcome to the Fobi webcast. I'm your host, Ian Cameron, and today I'm joined by Fobi CEO Rob Anson. And we will be doing a Q&A today around wrapping up 2022 and sort of talking a little bit about what were some of the challenges and some of the successes in 2022, and what do we have to look forward to in 2023. So welcome, Rob.
Happy New Year, Ian. Thanks for having me. And Happy New Year to all the shareholders out there today.
Great to have you, and I appreciate you taking the time to do this. Well, we might as well just jump right in and get into some of the questions that have come in over the past couple of weeks that I know you've been really wanting to provide some answers around. So the first question for you, and I think this is really one of the key questions that the people are looking to have answered. For you, looking back at 2022, what are a few of the biggest accomplishments that stand out to you, and why?
Well, that's a good question. I think for us, this year has been about a few things. I think transition, I would say, is one. We transitioned from very heavy latent technology development and integration, R&D, if you will, pre-commercialization to fully commercialized revenue generating, obviously is the biggest thing. As we went from pre-revenue to 2.2 million this year. So it was a great increase and first hurdle as a young company and as an early stage, I guess you could say. I think this year taught us a lot as well as to resiliency is a big one. I mean, there's a lot of distraction this year with the markets and broader markets and a lot of political unrest as we saw in the Ukraine and still and a lot of variables that we can't control, and I'm very proud of the team as to the focus of what we've done and set the table here for this year.
Great. So yeah, sort of thinking back over those accomplishments and challenges. So obviously it's been coming out of the pandemic. It's there's a lot of challenges out there. Based on those sort of successes and challenges, what were some of the valuable lessons that you perhaps learned?
I think, as I said earlier, resiliency is the biggest one. I mean, there's a lot of distractions in life in general, Ian, and for those that don't know, I mean, I experienced some very challenging, last few weeks of the year is with a pretty severe case of pneumonia that kind of taught me that I'm not as bulletproof as I think some days, and kind of puts things into perspective of good days and bad days and what's really not so bad after all, right? I take a great deal of pride and onus as to what we do. I've got a tremendous amount of confidence and of course my vision and team's ability to execute on that. And certain things just don't happen as fast as you think, and other things sometimes just fall in your lap that are blessings that should be counted. And for us, I think that we've learned a great deal this year of focus. I think that's the biggest thing is, we've seen some of these successes, and I like use past creators as an example of that. Now, 4 largest insurance companies started with one, in the beginning of the year. So some of these progressions, the re-up of contracts, it's, I don't want to say it's easy to take money once, but when you're looking at enterprise contracts, it's not easy. It's a very, very long, arduous sales cycles that it's like, let's be honest here. I mean, we're a small company that no one still really knows about from a global perspective. So it takes a great deal of due diligence. And at the end of the day, obviously, we just took the opportunity and ran with it. And, seeing these re-ups now in contracts and reconfirmation of the technology is great. Gives the team a great deal of confidence and, soon to be market.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's certainly great to have you back in better health. You're a huge part of, obviously the vision and the success of the organization. So
That's good. And I think part of that, sort of cut you off though, it was, I don't want to say it gives me a lot more confidence. And, for those that, didn't know how ill I was and on bed rest and these things, I didn't have a voice for 2 weeks. It was everything by Slack and email. And, here I am laying in bed and, feel helpless. But it gave me a great deal of confidence to see the team stand up or step up, sorry, and carry on without me. I mean, I get a lot of that of, oh, it's like I need to be in a little bubble that I've always said that every part of our business has been built, to be automated, and with or without, yourself or myself, the show goes on. And, it was great to see that the successful end of the year that we did have from a business perspective was, with me on the sideline for a great deal of it, which is good.
No, absolutely, and the show did go on. But other than those health issues that you suffered at the end of the years, is there anything else you regret or anything you would have changed looking back at 2022?
Hindsight's always a funny thing, and for me, as you guys know, I'm always about we are where we are, right? And there's so many things that we can't control, and it's challenging, of course, being a public issuer, that it's not just focused on the business. It's this year's been a tough year in the markets, as everyone knows, and there's a lot of hand holding and reassurance of some of those, and but it also opens the doors to new investors and telling a story, and people see where we're at. And as a company, we bolster a lot of very large names that bring tremendous credibility. And as we said, now that we've gone, revenue generation mode, where there's I think a new understanding of what Blue Sky could be here.
No, absolutely, and sort of connected to that, I guess, with some of the successes and some of the big names, you always exude a great deal of confidence, and you always seem very focused on execution, and are very confident about our ability to execute and innovate. Do you ever question or second guess yourself?
No, I mean, for me, and you know very well, I have very high expectations. They're not the goal; they're the starting point. And as I said, for our team, is just keep the head down. Don't listen to the noise. It's all just distraction, right? And for us, it's week by week. And when you start to see that progression and execution and momentum, it becomes fun. I think I've seen tremendous development in a lot of people on our team this year, and that's really what gets me up in the morning, is to see the progress. And it's not where you start, it's where you finish, and we're just starting. And I know where we'll finish. And yes, I am confident, and I think that plays a big part of the team's confidence this year as well. That if you don't believe what you're doing and you're not having fun what you're doing, then there's no point doing that. So I think once again that we're well aligned with where I want it to be. And I think the market's changed next year to reflect that. And as we start to show some of the uplift now in revenue generation contracts and reporting, that just organically things change next year. And once we hit our cash flow positive goal, that I believe the valuation changes again. And it's a big year for us.
Yeah, absolutely, and certainly I can speak to the fact that the team has huge confidence in the direction of the organization and yourself, and we're really excited about 2023. Obviously, we've fought through the challenges, and I think that makes you stronger as you go through. Um, One interesting question here that came through is they're asking, is there anything you would like to change with, perhaps about the company or the structure?
The company or the structure. I wish I had a magic ball that could rewind the clock on a few certain cases, but like I said, it is what it is. I'm for one that always embraces adversity. I mean, I'm on the front lines. I mean, people want to bitch at me and call, and no problem. Here's my number. Let's chat about it. Most of the time they don't call, which is fine. But I don't want to say I've made friendships, but there's quite a, I would say, bond that I do have with certain shareholders and certain groups that, I think it's because I'm very candid, I'm very honest, and I don't really, sugarcoat everything and run around with pom poms. The reality is the reality, and it's been a tough year in certain things. It's been very humbling in certain things, and much like I wasn't running around with pom poms when we're at our height, I'm not running around with Kleenexes now, whimpering about where we are. We're on the offense here, and this is a big year for us, and I'm very excited about it. And when I look at our team, we're going to get very, very laser focused here, very, very refined. There's going to be a lot of new stuff as you're working on with market messaging and these things that I think will help people understand better as to not just what we do, but why we do what we do, and what that truly means from a value side.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, we updated the messaging when we did the brand, the rebrand from Loop Insights to Fobi, and I think there was a lot of great stuff that, that happened then. But I think there's great opportunities to get that focus around, who we are and what we do, and I think that's going to be a big part of this next year. But
I think a
and
part of that, Ian, is I'll just jump in there before you get to the next question, is it's an evolution. Every day you hear me say that we got to make decisions that help us tomorrow, right? And our story is always going to evolve. And if it doesn't evolve, I'm not going to be here. I mean, that's part of this whole gig is that, it's not what we're doing today, but to me, it's tomorrow. And what are we learning from today that's going to position us for success tomorrow? And I've always had that approach. And that's why, like I said, I don't know, this is probably our third or fourth time where everyone tells me the world's coming to an end, and right, we're finished, and we're not finished. We're just starting. The world will recover, and here we go.
absolutely. Well, that feeds perfectly into the next question, which is, what are you excited about personally for 2023?
Personally, I'm personally excited for the 49ers to win the Super Bowl this year. But all kidding aside, I think for myself personally, it is a little more balance, a little more boundaries for my time. I've always, to my own fault, Ian, made myself available almost 24 hours a day, which isn't good. Um, so I think putting up barriers, we do have a lot of great shareholders too, and I love and appreciate the enthusiasm and and laugh at some of the other messages that I can't repeat too many of the words about, but it's all part of it. And like I said, I fully embrace it all. I do. People laugh at me, but I've been writing a coffee table book that will go with this whole experience, and there's certain people that will be in certain chapters that will be quite funny and amusing. But I think time is our biggest asset, and I'm now really focused this year on maximizing my time where it provides the greatest value and return for me personally and for the company and its shareholders.
Absolutely. Well, that also feeds well into the next question, which is a bit of a two-parter. So first off, what do you consider success to be for Fobi, and where do you see some of the company's success coming from in 2023?
Yeah, that's a good question. For me, success, as an early stage company, there's sort of different hurdles you go through. You start from the napkin and the fun thing, writing down the goals and the business plan and these things, and then you get to a point of foundation and infrastructure, which to me are key and something I've always stressed and focused on. But then you come to the R&D side of it, and then it's always everyone's got this anticipation and excitement, and then it's like, as great as we think this is someone going to pay for this? Someone going to write a check for this, right? That's the biggest thing. And I think, people don't truly understand what happens in those first sort of 2 to 3 levels to get to that point. We've built a very sophisticated business with multiple different layers and levels to it. And I think for me, I've always been about future. What can I do today to build critical infrastructure that can support scale, that can be as optimized, relevant as possible? And what I look at what we've done to the point now of of revenue generation, not R&D, full integration completion. Now we're built for the fun. This is where the magic happens, is that we're built for scale, that we can support scale. We built incredible automation. We're enabled now to be very lean and agile, and we'll continue to do so. And as we start to see more momentum, this is where the magic happens this year. And I'm something that I'm very, very excited about.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the second part, I apologize. Your
Yep.
second part was about areas where I see interest
Yep.
or excited about.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we're
I think I've mentioned this a few times, Ian. For me, and it kind of reaffirmed it with my, pneumonia and all the trips to the hospital and doctors and stuff. Healthcare is a massive opportunity for us, and it's something I'm very, very excited about. To take what they have. Here I just happen to have this from my backpack, but your medical alerts bracelet they give you when you go visit the hospital. All of this stuff now is completely built to be mobilized. So that's a big opportunity for us. I think conferences becomes a huge part this year for us as well. As I was down at AWS reInvent right before Christmas and learned a great deal there as to what their events looks like and how perhaps we can play a piece of that. So that's a great opportunity. I think the world of casino gaming has huge opportunities for us with the positioning of the wallet and our various applications of Alt ID and others. Our fintech developments now come to fruition, I think, in a lot of these different places. Loyalty will continue to play a very big part, I'm sure, as the year unfolds. And I think open banking, I know I've mentioned this a few times, I think this is a big year of 2023 that we start to see the benefits of these various different platforms and where we can fit in from a media perspective and facilitation of not just transaction, but the loyalty and personalization that everyone's looking for. And of course, for us, I think 8112 is the optimum blue sky as this goes live here this year. And we've been positioned and anxiously waiting and participating in all these different pilots that have gone on. But for this to unload this year is a very big component for us, and especially from a revenue perspective, to realize the contracts that we do have with Veracast and Catalina. Good stuff here.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so much pent up demand for that for 8112. It's it's pretty amazing. This next question is also I think quite interesting. Um, Basically, they're saying that you are very much a visionary leader and have a great talent for early stage investment into various areas. So perhaps you could give sort of the audience and the Fobi investors a little bit of a kind of a view into where you think the world is heading.
Where it's heading. I wish it was heading on a plane to Maui right now, but no, I think all kidding aside, Ian, I think as I said, the continued digital transformation is front and center. As I said, I think we see a lot of this consolidation this year in a lot of different verticals and industries with various tech. We're starting to see it happen in grocery, big amalgamations and M&A. I think that continues to be a big trend this year. I think open banking starts to become something that people are more familiar with, a lot of the different fintech. I think logistically delivery is a very interesting opportunity as well in the various conversations that I'm involved with today. I think those are some of the big trends. I think a lot of it more is natural progression, if you will, is where a data-centric, data-first company is. I've used healthcare earlier, tremendous amount of silos. So I think this push towards unification of data and interoperability and activation is the biggest thing. And for us, that's why I went to the wallet. It was an activation channel of the data. I think we start to see some of these as we're doing here with our partners in Barnett and Ideal. And, the data for us is something that's not even been tapped into, Ian. So it's an early stage, and I think Casey said we're at like 13 million transactions already that we process now through data from liquor and beverage. And these become a big part of the significant puzzle of network and monetization that I think becomes a big part. I think blockchain is something to me that has its place and always will. And I think, people don't really truly understand blockchain. All they think of is, FTX and you know, Ethereum and these different Bitcoin and things. But I think that starts to become a bigger part of the world for sure. Um, I think, the tokens component of it is, it's going to be an interesting year to see about the regulation and these sorts of things where, it's very unfortunate to see what's happened here. But I mean, it is what it is. It's not going anywhere. It's only going to evolve. It's something that I was a very very early investor in as well. That and I'm a big believer in. And there's many different blockchain projects and things that we'll be looking to play part in as well for our next year. That like I said, you can't always jump into something at the peak, you know. And for me, I've always been very happy to invest into something and sit on and wait as it unfolds because it's the only way you realize the true potential. Much like our company, to be honest with you. I mean, when we're trading at our high, I'd trade everything I have to be back where we are today with the technology advancement of the technology, and not just that, but the people and the all-around value of what we have. This is a huge opportunity here. It's I've got a lot of analysts and stuff that have reached out to me like, "Hey, I saw you guys like 3 years ago. Yeah, it's been very impressive what you've done, and can't believe that my clients and people are getting at ground level here again. It's a massive opportunity." And some of these things that people, it's easy to say that, oh well, I bought into this company here, and yeah, then they're the first person to complain that the company went down 30%, right? You're buying at the top, it's easy. People got to be buying in now. I'm not just talking about our stock, of course, but I'm injecting cash and my money into not just us, but some other early investments that have taken major hits and stuff. The market's not going to stay here. I mean, we look at historical data. It's today was Friday. What are we? January 6th, and look at the numbers today. Employment, positive impact in the market, right? So I think this year is a year of recovery. Obviously this isn't financial advice, but I've always been very optimistic, but also realistic too, right? Last year wasn't the year to be doing a lot of different moves that I had planned on, simply because of stock price and whatever. I'm trying to respect every dollar that we have for sure, and the shareholders that are in, and why a couple of the deals that get pushed out, and I think that changes this year. There's a lot of great companies privately that are struggling, of course, to raise capital, and I think our organic growth, which we'll see this year, will put us in a very strong position, not just from a cash balance sheet perspective, but optically, visually, that we've been able to do it on our own.
Okay, great. That actually leads well into the next and sort of last question here. Can you, and you've talked a little bit about it already, but the question is around, can you speak to any particular new verticals or applications or acquisitions that shareholders should be on the lookout for or excited about in 2023?
I think lottery gaming is something that we haven't really gone fully into yet, but we will, and we are. Healthcare, for sure, as I said, delivery, obviously various forms of delivery, and I think digital identity. Digital identity is obviously, is a big part of what we're doing, and various assets of it. And I think really, Ian, it's the utility. It's always about utility. I was on a very interesting call leading up to this one here, and that's why I'm so late. I apologize once again. But when you start to look at utility and value, right, that's what's going to make the world want to go digital. And having these one-off friction components of that today is just like that. I have it. I have to download it to get in the door, but then I get no utility and value until I need to use it again to get in the door next game or next event or whatever it may be. So having this, utility and value application, that to me is the magic moment, because as we're starting to see here now, there's so many forms of application that we've launched and released this year. It's all off the core technology. We're not here in the back. Like I said, our tech team is mere fraction of what it was, but yet we're able to pump this stuff out like no tomorrow, because it's the core architecture and infrastructure of which we've built. So I think that's a big part of it here is, new verticals, same technology. New verticals means market ready now for adoption. We've only realized, I would say, a 25th of what the true value will be of what we're able to even deliver to market. We're truly just starting, so that's why I think this is a great opportunity this year for us. And I think for people to truly understand come Q3, Q4 of next year, 2023 here now, of what that looks like, I think there'll be a much better appreciation for our story and all the hard work we have done here the last few years.
Absolutely. Well, that's those are all the questions that we had for you today, Rob. Want to thank you for your time and answering those, as frankly and as transparently as you have. I think that's great. Any final closing message for everyone?
Yeah, I mean, I can't talk about the M&A stuff that we're doing, of course, but obviously, yes, I am transparent about that. There's many opportunities. I'm always looking, right? If I can add another piece to the puzzle, it's always we partner, build, or buy, right? And there, last year there wasn't a lot of opportunity to buy, simply because of the status of the markets. But I see that changing here in Q3 and Q4, and I've got not just the business sales pipeline, but my M&A pipeline and model that Annie and I have been working on that will continue to keep the irons in the fire, as they say, and go from there. But no, I think it's the same side. I think it just becomes a lot more focused this year. Head down and, ready to make some noise when the timing is right. And I think we're getting pretty close.
Absolutely. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, thanks for having me, and thank you to all the shareholders. I wish everyone a great, healthy, and prosperous new year. And those that are new to the story, welcome. Those that have come and gone, best of luck, and appreciate all of that as well. So I think it's going to be a very fun year, Ian. I think there's going to be a lot of growth and a lot of learning, which to me is always the biggest thing. Of what are the takeaways is one of the questions you asked earlier. It's always, to me, about learning. How fast can we fail? And failure doesn't, to me, that it didn't work. Success comes from learning from failure. And that's, where I've got a lot of scars on my back is trying new things. And, without that, you don't get anywhere. So we're in a good spot and very excited.
No, continuous optimization. Absolutely. No, that's great, Rob. Thank you again so much. And thanks to everyone for joining us on the Fobi webcast today. Tune in for our next podcast. Check out our website. And please, for all the investors out there, download your investor pass to get your sort of first and get it first information about Fobi. Thanks, everyone.